Thank you for being here. Let me get my notes out. Without reading glasses, I might add. Well, really excited about the news we're about to celebrate with, and I got to tell you, I have a few thanks to give to the wonderful communities that stepped up for our administration. I'm thrilled to announce that I am officially appointing Interim Chief Adrian Diaz to be our permanent Chief, Adrian Diaz. And let's give that a hand right now. I had a great conversation with Kevin Hall from Tucson and Eric Greening from the department. And I will tell you that the search committee, who I'll acknowledge in a little better detail shortly, they did their job. They did their job very well. That they presented, in my estimation, 3 candidates who could lead a department. Made my job hard. The process was the right process, not just charter governed, but I think we went above and beyond what the charter requires. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'll talk about why I made the selection that I did over the weekend. As many of you know, because you are following this, this was clearly a robust and community-driven process. The 14 very engaged and involved community members and stakeholders that are with us now, they have different ideas on what a great police department should look like or what a leader should look like. Some may say, I want 7-minute response times. I want the level of investigations done thoroughly and quickly. Some may say that I want police accountability unlike I've never seen it. We want to make sure that a racialized approach, an unreasonable force, is a thing of the past. And we have to acknowledge that it occurs, and we do not want it here in Seattle or anywhere else in this country. There could be some that says that they want to emphasize culturally competent officers. They want the complete morale changed. Or someone may say, I want all of that, all in one. But they have priorities. I am very proud to say that I heard that there were some robust discussions amongst this group, looking at the candidates that they had. We talked to community members over and over, a few statistics. In addition to conversations with the youth and communities of color and the immigrant community, faith leaders, small business leaders, we offered a community survey in 7 languages. It was filled out by more than 1,300 residents. It's important to know that we had 15 applications. That was actually more than we had in our 2018 search. That was before George Floyd, before the pandemic, at a time where perhaps the political atmosphere might have been more conducive toward what we saw in Seattle. The committee did what they were supposed to do. They interviewed several people. They advanced 5 to the public safety experts, where those assessors administered a charter required oral and written competitive examination, unanimously sending me 3 highly qualified applicants. That was their job, and they did it well. I can say to all of you listening to my words right now that not one of these members thwarted the process, circumvented the process, and said, I want this person. You got 5, you got 3, this is who I like. Not one of them gave me that information. Now, I don't know what they did with their friends or what they did on their blogs. I don't read that stuff, but I'll tell you, it never got to me. So when I interviewed the 3, they were robust interviews, and like I said, all 3 extremely capable. When I talk about One Seattle, I talk about having this kind of conversation where you can agree, you can disagree, but you lead also with listening and understanding the other perspective. That's how we're going to build a great city. That's how this chief and I are going to build a great department together. So let me thank a few folks. Our officers. Our police officers spent the last several years serving our community despite exceptionally challenging circumstances. You name the circumstance of difficulty, and they did that. We are committed to supporting and retaining them, and quite candidly, Chief Diaz is the right one for that job. Our community partners, all the way from our neighborhood voices, King County Equity Now, the Seattle NAACP. I see Carrie Riley Payne and back me somewhere. Where's she? She doesn't like standing in back of me very much, so usually I'm in back of her. The Village of Hope, the Duwamish Valley Youth Corps, and again our search committee. Thank you for sitting in hours of meetings and interviews. I mean, I know that there were some grueling sessions when you could have been spending time with your families and partners, but you put in the work. Our HR and recruitment team, Aisha Foster, the team lead, Pam Inch, the driver of the process, Ernest Stevens, Melissa Reed, Gary Peterson is the recruiter, and people from our mayor's office. I'll just shout at them by first name. Andrew, Pedro, Nina, Ben, Callie, everyone. It was a team effort. And so, again, they did their work. The areas that we will focus on together: crime and gun violence. I don't have to say much more than that. We know what's happening in this country and in major cities. We know what's happening here. Accountability. Diversified responses, alternatives to police. Our culture, the culture of our department, which reflects the culture of our city. In our neighborhoods, making sure everyone is safe. The chief and I recently, just the other day, we walked down the steps together, and we saw Brother Muhammad in the Somali community. He was tragically murdered last week. He's a father of 6, 48 years old. We don't know what motivated that. We know that someone had come in the car, shot him at point-blank range, and as we continue to investigate, that is a child's nightmare. That's a wife's nightmare. And we sat there and listened to one of his daughters cry with us. And when I talk about why did I choose Police Chief Diaz, well, they're all qualified. He's highly educated. He's well experienced, as are the other candidates. There are these intangibles. Sometimes you could just, it's what I call chemistry, and something you can't teach, you can't fake, but it's right here. I think Chief Diaz has that right here. A person that I've known since he was a sergeant, working in the community. A person who will make bold decisions, unpopular decisions, but the right thing to do. A person that I know, when he looked at this little Somali daughter's face, I know it hit him as hard as it hit me, that our job is to protect her father. And someone said, will you issue an apology? I will apologize for anything that we do when we fail. I'm not too proud to do that. Our city has to be known for its humility as well. So there are many intangibles about Chief Diaz. And then I would say his tenacity. I get up sort of early and go to bed sort of late at night to get this city on where it needs to be. I need that energy to match it, perhaps surpass it. I need to be able to stay in my lane and say this person is right where they need to be because they're a superstar in their lane. That's that wow factor. That's that intangible that I think we have in Chief Diaz. He doesn't have to walk in the room. It was sort of a funny thing that happened. Chief Diaz was posing for a picture, and it seemed like everyone in the picture was like 6'3", right? And Chief Diaz says, I got to find some new people to take some pictures with, because you all, but it was that kind of self-deprecating humor that I find very attractive in leaders, because it's not about how tall he stands, it's about the boldness of the work that he'll do. And so I own this decision, and I want to say thank you again, search committee members. Now, in closing, I said this. I said that, I need to impress upon you one thing. I've spent 12 years on the council. I spent 4 years as public safety chair, another 4 years as vice chair, and then 4 years as city council president. I've worked with a lot of chiefs. Chief Kurlikowski, Chief Diaz, John Diaz, Chief Pugil, Chief Harry Bailey, Chief Kathleen O'Toole, Chief Carmen Best, and Interim Chief Diaz. As they say, it's not my first rodeo. And I want to thank all those former chiefs for their outstanding service and leadership. But the fact of the matter is not one chief in our history has completely eradicated racism, completely changed the culture. So I'm not asking this chief to do that. I'm asking this chief to be the strongest and most effective leader he can be to change the culture and optimize our performance. It also rests with me. It also rests with the community. It rests with everyone that cares. So together and collectively, we will have a world-class police department. And I want every officer to know that we will do everything possible to make sure they are trusted, they are respected, and that all of our communities are safe. That is my charter responsibility. And having said that, I present to you my selection, Chief Adrian Diaz.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to express my deep gratitude to Mayor Harrell for entrusting me to continue to lead the Seattle Police Department as we work collectively as a city to recover from public health and public safety challenges for the last 2 years. Mayor, since taking office, you and your team have challenged us to be agile, creative amidst staffing issues, to ensure that we explore alternative public safety services, that we continue to rebuild the capacity of this department to support a wider net of service. And that despite headwinds, we continue our unwavering commitment to the policies and practices that have brought us, the department, so close to closing out the federal consent decree. Thank you for the monitor being in the audience as well. Thank you for your partnership and for your trust. It is my honor to serve this administration. Second, over the past month, and more than a dozen interviews with community members have confirmed what I already knew. It is my commitment to lead the Seattle Police Department is based in community. I'm committed to ensuring the community is at the forefront of all of SB's work and engagement. And I'm committed to ensuring the department restores safety citywide. I approach this work with optimism, mindful of the trust that was shattered by the events of 2020's following the murder of George Floyd, of the combined trauma of the community and our officers alike, and of the long path of reconciliation ahead of us. Not just between SPD and the community, but also between the city, the department, and the men and women, sworn and civilian, who form the heart and soul of SPD. There's no question that the past 2 years have been difficult. Terrors in the social fabric so necessary to support a healthy society have ripped wide open as so many of the resources available pre-pandemic have been reduced. Staffing challenges amidst rising calls for service puts enormous strain on our officers, making it critical that we invest in resources to keep our officers healthy and safe. At the same time, violent crime is at a 25-year high and disproportionately felt in communities of color. Therefore, we cannot be passive. Our city requires action on crime, on gun violence, on perceived and real issues of safety. We can pour through all the statistics in the city and have the necessary nuanced conversations, but at the end of the day, we know Seattleites are demanding a safer city they deserve. We cannot stop evolving. The Seattle Police Department must always strive towards continuous improvement. And as we work towards the final phase of the consent decree, we must remain focused on providing quality police services and ongoing reform. That work will not stop. Our commitment to accountability will not stop. We refuse to accept the status quo and want to build the most innovative department in the country, from technology to community partnerships, new ideas to real action. The police can't solve every problem. That's why I've championed the SPD co-responder unit with mental health professionals, community service officers, created partnerships with community-based organizations, and supported diversifying emergency responses. I look forward to being a partner at the table with Mayor Harrell as we define and implement a One Seattle approach. I want to thank the men and women of this department for their hard work over the past 2 years and into the future. Your dedication to our city is recognized. Our city is better due to your service. And daily I hear from community members across all sectors of this city praising the dedication and compassionate work of our officers. Public safety is built on a foundation of social trust. We are stronger and safer as a city when we work together. To those who offer their support, who challenge us, and who roll up their sleeves in partnership, you make us better, and I promise that we will continue to strive to be the department that you demand and that you deserve. No leader can do it alone. I'm supported by an incredible team of professionals, sworn and civilian, across all ranks and for positions in our department. I embrace the future of this department because I know the character of this department. And I know the demonstrated commitment of the SPD members who have stood by our department in our toughest moments to ensure that we come back stronger, wiser, and rededicated to our mission. Let's get back to work. Questions?